powered by, I'm sure all of you are sitting here are powered by one interesting political phenomenon. That is the Chinese Communist Party, the establishment, and is claiming we are building a harmonious society, and for the past 30 years of reform and opening up, we have accomplished great achievements. So we're going to become better, and so now we have a great country is rising. But this statement has been under attack from the two ends of the ideological spectrum. So if we think the establishment is in the center, and so then the right wing or the liberal wing, they do not feel happy. And also the left wing, the new left, they do not feel happy. And so now the issue is not that the current government has not achieved enough for the right side or for the left side. So both sides are not happy. But actually, the current situation is that the establishment has drawn the worst part from the left wing. That is political control to consolidate its regime. And then also has drawn the worst part in the eyes of the left wing, that is social stratification, the big gap between rich and poor, and then to justify, and it is its new capitalism. So this is how, and I think, and today, the Chinese current situation is very partly, and it needs a good theory to explain it. So now I try to offer this oligarchic transition theory to explain how China today has successfully transitioned not to democracy, not to liberal capitalism, not to market economy, and even not to go back to Maoism, the egalitarian left-wing ideology. But I am going to argue that China has become a ruling oligarchy. Okay, so why I argue this, there is one theoretical point. Because in the year 2011, Jeffrey Winters, professor at Northwestern, published his book, Oligarchy. And I think in the aftermath of the international financial crisis, and we know, and the oligarchy has become a big issue. And in the United States, and we have seen and how the financial oligarchs, and how the oligarchs have become the new kings, new rulers. And so this is how I think today, and when you have the financial oligarchs, and they have been discredited in the financial crisis, we have the oligarchs such as Bloomberg or Murdoch, and they have been wounded. So I think now is best moment for us to open up this kind of crack and to discuss oligarchy and the oligarchic rule. And so now what I want to prove here is, and for the past less than 20 years, it means less than one generation, China has become a ruling oligarchy. So first, and in Winters and his book, and he classifies oligarchy into 4 different types. And we know Aristotle, and he classifies polity into 6 types. So oligarchy is one type. And so in Aristotle's classification, oligarchy and democracy, they are mutually exclusive. So they are categorically different. But in Winters and his discussion, and he thinks oligarchy can be indifferent to democracy. So democracy and oligarchy can live together, can create a new type, and he calls it a civil oligarchy. So in the United States, there is democracy, but it has oligarchic politics. And in Singapore, there is rule of law, but it also has oligarchic politics. So when we talk about oligarchs, and he talks about, and you have only a small number of people, less than 1%, they concentrate the excessive amount of wealth and in the society. We are talking about they can control at least more than 20% and of the wealth. And so this is what we talk about oligarchy. And so you have a few and with excessive wealth, and then they use wealth to combine with power and to justify their privilege. And so now, what I wanted to explain to you is, and in Winters' classification, and he believes there are 4 types of oligarchies. The first one is warring oligarchy. So you have warlords, and they loot and they justify the rule, but they fight against each other. The second is sultanistic oligarchies. such as Indonesian President Suharto. Right? The third is ruling oligarchy, and this is what I'm going to discuss here. Then the third type is civil oligarchy, such as in Singapore and in the United States. And so, he talks about oligarchy, not only he talks about the concentration of wealth, but he also talks about the relationship between the oligarchs and their control over violence. So in warring oligarchy, it's clear, they have warlords, right? They are the fighters. And then in the satanistic oligarchy, you don't have a lot of warlords, you have only one military leader who is going to be specialized in military protection and violence. And then you have civil oligarchy. Basically, the oligarchs, they do not control violence anymore, and so they delegate the function to the legal justice system and to the police and all this. But then in ruling oligarchy, you have the oligarchs, they have collective control of the violence. And so they can use violence and basically immediately for their personal gains and personal interests. And so this is what I think is very interesting and to relate to Chinese case. Because China, it is a collectivistic and a communist state. And because the party has created I call it the party state army triad. And so we can see this kind of collective control over violence to defend the excessive control of wealth. And also, it's very interesting is the theoretical value for my presentation is because in Winters and his book, and his cases for the category of ruling oligarchy only comes from either mafia or the medieval city-states in Italy. And or he talk about the Appalachian mountain feuds. So then my question is, why can't we find a nation state, a contemporary nation state as a case, and to elaborate that ruling oligarchy? So I think now I got this case and to support his theoretical framework. Okay, so now let me explain to you why I think China today is a ruling oligarchy. I just want to give you 3 points. First point is, and Xiaolong laid a great foundation for me, and so we know the widening gap between rich and poor, and so we know the Gini index in China has become very terrible, and we talk about in the early 1980s, the Gini index in China is 0.2 some neighborhood, and then it shot up, then to 0.3, then to 0.4, and actually in the year 2011, and 2013, and in China, there's one university called the Southwestern University of Finance and Economics. They published a number, and the Chinese Gini index reached 0.61. And so basically, we have never seen, and for major countries for such a short period of time, and you have the Gini index, and it can move across 4 neighborhoods, from 0.2 to 0.3 to 0.4, then reach 0.5. And of course, the Chinese government saw this could be an explosively political issue. So in the same year, just early this year, they published a set of Gini index for the previous 10 years. But in their number, they said, actually, the Gini index is around 0.47 or 8. But after the year 2008, it reached the plateau, it has declined. And so we know in China, and the statistics is not sanity. And so we are very certain the Chinese government has something to hide. And also because they want to diffuse the political consequence of the number published by the Chinese university. So this is why. And they quickly published one set of number for the 10 years. But they have never published the continuous number for the past 3 decades. Right? So this is how, and I think we have to take the Gini index number from China with skepticism. And because of this Gini index change, so we can say, and as one Chinese sociologist, Li Qiang, and he said, China has become, this society is like the upside down T shape. So you have a top, very small elite, they have narrow strip of middle class, We have lower class, and they're at the bottom huge, and with 60-some%. So middle class is less than 20%. So the elite is about 2 to 3%. And so this is the Chinese social structure. Then against the background of this reverse T-shaped society, and so then now we can find and the Chinese government and their new class. And if we use Gilas' word and the new class and under Mao Zedong, then they quickly took good advantage of their vantage point to cash in the process of marketization. So this is what Xiaomeng also gave you explanation, so I'm not going to elaborate on that. And then, because of that, you can find in China, there is a consensus that absolute majority of the Chinese, they believe, if you are communist leaders with political power, and you gain most in the process of marketization. Basically, we can say political power has become the golden touch for the Chinese elites, then to quickly transform themselves into oligarchs. So I just give you some numbers. And the first is a case and the research done by here by Bloomberg News, and they had a case study on the 8 immortals. So the Chinese is 8, you see, senior leaders under Deng Xiaoping, all they have passed away. So the case study they discuss their 103 children, so their sons and daughters, grandchildren, and also their son-in-laws or daughter-in-laws. So in this, there are many numbers, and you can find in my article, but I just read this one number. So 3 children alone: General Wang Zhen's son Wang Jun, Deng Xiaoping's son-in-law He Ping, and Chen Yuan, the son of Mao's economic czar Chen Yun. He did still run state-owned companies with combined assets of about $1.6 trillion in 2011. This is equivalent to more than a fifth of China's annual economic output. Okay, so this number and related to the 8 immortals. So I give you another number. So we have now not 8 immortals. We have actually more than a dozen of living oligarchs. They are all former Chinese top leaders. We are talking about they are the Politburo Standing Committee members. So I only give you some numbers here. In the year 2006, 92% of the shares in the state-owned power generating company Luren, and with an asset of $9.47 billion, they were sold to private companies. And who controls the private companies? The son of former Vice President Zheng Qinghong, and so Zheng Wei. And so we're talking about in this one deal, and the company was sold at $478 million. It means roughly $9 billion. They were transferred into the hands of the children of top Chinese leaders. We talk about presidents. As this is one case here. And all we know in the year 2002, and Zheng Wei, the son of Chinese Vice President Zheng Qinghong, and he purchased a mansion in Sydney with a price tag $32 million. So that is one of the 3 most expensive real estate transactions in Australian history. So that's a Chinese communist leader, right, the son. And also, we have received a lot of reports. And so we know recently, the Chinese director for the State Assets Supervisory Commission, Jiang Jianmin, has been arrested. And according to reports, through the son of Zheng Qinghong and Zhou Bin, and he has transferred at least $10 billion to Zhou Yongkang family. So this is how when we talk about the Xi Jinping and Bo Xilai's case. So now one more we are seeing the problem with Zhou Yongkang, right? And so we are saying, okay, and how about Xi Jinping and the current president? Right? Bloomberg News did some investigation. They found and Xi Jinping's extended family is worth $376 million, and they own Hong Kong real estate worth $55.6 million. And then how about other elites? So Bloomberg and also did an investigation. They found in the year just 2011. And so the Chinese elites, and here we are talking about the 70 richest delegates and deputies to the National People's Congress and the Chinese legislature. So here, the number is this. The richest 70 members of Chinese legislature, and the net worth of this 70 richest delegation in China, and rose to 565.8 billion yuan, that is $89.8 billion in 2011. And then that's a gain of $11.5 billion from the previous year, from 2010. What does that mean? That compares to the 7.5 billion net worth of all 660 top officials in the 3 branches of the US government. Right, so that's a big number, right? So what we are is talking about how in the United States oligarchy is unbearable. So we are saying and China is even and has surpassed the US in terms of how the political elites they can control excessive assets. Okay, and then not only we're talking about the very top, but actually this kind of spoil system and has been duplicated at the ministerial and the provincial level. So I give you just one example, Liu Zhijun. And when we used to have in 1980s, one deputy minister of railway and was removed with charge for corruption. He took less than 5,000 Chinese yuan. But he took one refrigerator and one ring worth $400, and then $900 kickback. Then he was removed. Look at this minister of railway today. How many? And he is the only one businesswoman alone gave him 49 million yuan. 49 million yuan. And then, when he was arrested, and so the court froze a huge amount of assets, include 795 million yuan and 230,000 US dollars, 2.23 billion euro, 85.25 million Hong Kong dollars, 150,000 Canadian dollars, 9 stock exchange accounts, 37 houses or apartments, 100% share of one hotel with its 337 housing units, 16 motor vehicles, 100% of one club, 60% share of one company, and 612 items of painting and decorations. So this is how, and if you just look at, and in Beijing, in the year 2013, and among 1,214 these cases, and 232 the cases involved is a cash value of more than 1 million. So I think I'm not going to go on and go on. You just say and what kind of excessive concentration of wealth in the hands of the Chinese communist leaders. I think this is very ironic is because the Chinese communist leaders they claim they are the People's Republic of China. So under a communist country and under the People's Republic of China, and they have built a so-called Chinese democracy or socialist democracy with Chinese characteristics. But they have betrayed the most important principle in socialism, that's equality, justice, and fraternity. So this is why I'm saying China has become a ruling oligarchy. Okay, so now I think I cannot go on and on, but 2 points I want to make. One point is the Chinese oligarchy has created the Chinese stability maintenance politics. So why the stability maintenance politics today is so cruel, and also the expenditure and for maintaining the civil order, domestic order has surpassed the budget for national defense. So you can understand for today's Chinese ruling elites, basically the Chinese people are more threatening than foreign enemies. And they have a point here because it is, right, because of this kind of class in the structure and also class conflict. The second point I want to make is the Chinese ruling elite is not just a homegrown and isolated situation, but actually it was nurtured by Wall Street, by people such as Paulson, Secretary of Treasury, by Henry Paulson, and also by Murdoch, and also by Wall Street people. And so I do not want to continue because I have a lot of interesting stories. And you can find out how Murdoch published books for Deng Xiaoping's daughter. And so you can find out how the Wall Street is investing in the bankers. They published a biography for Jiang Zemin. You can find how Henry Paulson from 1992 to 2006, before he became the Secretary of Treasury, he made more than 70 trips to China. Right? So this Washington, Wall Street, and the Zhongnanhai nexus, and is one key factor for the formation of ruling oligarchy in China. And then last point I want to say is, I think for a lot of people, a lot of scholars, and they have confused an oligarchic transformation, transition with democratic transition. So like the very famous tiger mom, Amy Xia, and she has published one book called Word and Fire. So in this book, and she said how the exporting of liberal market democracy has caused chaos, ethnic hatred, and conflict all over the world. And I think, and many people, and to some extent like her in terms of, because for Amy Xia, and she has mistaken the oligarchic transition as liberalization and democratization. So this is how she has blamed the democratization process in third countries. So I think if now we can separate oligarchic transition from democratic transition, so I think we can appreciate democracy much, much more and in the studies of third countries. And so this is what I have said in my article. And thank you.